Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a very exciting episode of CSGO News. Let's hop into our first story. That's all about CSGO for the first time ever being solely streamed on Facebook, of course for ESL Pro League Season 7, which did start just yesterday at the point of you guys watching this. The only thing I'm worried about right now as we discuss the pros and cons of it so far are the viewership numbers. If you guys did notice and actually stop in, I watched a few of the matches myself, but I noticed every single match I watched only averaged anywhere from about 2,500 to 6,000 viewers, usually right in between there from 3,000 to 4,000, and it was never higher. I don't know if it was the timing. I actually watched one around noon, one around 4 o'clock in the afternoon my time, and the viewership numbers all stay the same. And I do notice though the views are actually quite good. Obviously the way they accumulate those views are different from the live viewers itself, but 1.1 million views is still a pretty good amount. I do think relatively we're gonna have to learn how that factors in, but it does seem a bit off, guys. The fact that we only have 3,000 to 4,000 average live viewers, that's the only worry though. If you guys did have the chance to actually watch the ESL Pro League streams yourself, I do have to say the quality is beyond my belief. Now, when we first heard that CSGO and ESL Pro League would actually have a continued partnership with Facebook alone for their Season 7 and maybe Season 8 as well, I thought quality was going to be a big issue, but it does seem the way they stretch out their streams is actually a really high quality. In 1080p, it does look like this, guys. It looks very clear, very amazing. In my own opinion, it looks way better than Twitch or YouTube did in terms of quality. It looks spectacular. Besides that, though, viewership numbers are a bit down, so of course a little con there. And of course, the chat was not near as cancerous as Twitch or YouTube, in my own opinion. The chat was actually relatively calm. It was still a bit of a weird chatting function. I don't really ever really chat in Twitch chat or YouTube chat either, but it was kind of less spam in my own opinion, so a kind of a good pro there as well. And very lastly, of course, I do want to talk about a major con is the fact that emojis can float throughout the game, and I imagine during a high peak time, if we ever have like an ESL Pro League final match, and of course we will this season, you can imagine all those emojis just floating on the screen. Of course, they do stay within the bottom portion of that screen, but it's still kind of annoying to see that during a CSGO game when people either like or have an emoji reaction to the stream. They can just float their emoji that way. It is kind of annoying. I wish they could disable that, or maybe I can. I don't know about that. But yeah, so far, guys, ESL Pro League on Facebook. What are your thoughts about that? Leave a comment down below. So far, so good. In my own opinion, the quality is spectacular. The viewership's a bit worrying, but I actually am very surprised. I do enjoy it. And also, of course, we still have plenty of roster change news out there. I'm sure many of you guys have heard about this. Dennis has officially joined NiP, which has finally changed one of their core members, of that being Get Right Force and Xizt being that kind of primary core, if you do want to say it, guys. Xizt finally released from the roster. Very ironic as well, because if you guys remember a couple days ago, I had this comment placed in one of my videos. I forgot Xizt was the IGL of NiP during my CSGO Pro Player quiz, and now within, I guess, a day of that comment going through, Xizt has now been dropped, or I guess you could say benched for the time being at NiP, and they replaced him with former Godsent, former Fnatic Dennis. Great experience coming into the team. In my personal opinion, of course, he's known for having pistol power. Alongside that, I think a major opinion right now, everyone's just kind of glad this guy did find a team. Dennis, of course, was originally going to go to OpTic Gaming. That deal did fall through as OpTic signed an entire new roster without him, and so he has finally found a spot here at NiP, guys, for the first time ever playing for Ninjas in Pajamas. I think it's going to be a better roster, but I can't tell you guys any real details as to my predictions. I'm not really sure about his IGLing. I know he doesn't want an IGL, so he's probably forced into that, and of course, if you're kind of wanting to be signed by any team out there, you're going to be willing to comply to what they want from you, and so I don't know if it's going to be a good idea to force him onto the IGL role. We're going to see how he does, though, in the future. On top of that, though, Misfits have officially announced their release of their entire CSGO roster. Of course, they lost Sick, Shazam, and of course, that was on top of that, Sean Gares a few months ago, and they have now lost the remaining 2 players as they released them officially. Those are the 2 Frenchmen, Amanek and Devo Duvec, who have now returned to France to apparently play in the French scene for any teams who want to sign those guys. It's actually kind of the official release as well. Not only their entire current CSGO roster, also kind of hints at the fact that Misfits is trying to step away from CSGO. It's unofficial right now, but of course, they were going to sign the Argentinian team known as No Tenemos Nada, and that actually fell through as well. So it does seem that Misfits is going to be gone from CSGO for a while, and this might be their departure for good from the Counter-Strike Global Offensive game. On top of that, too, we do have Envyus Academy announcing their signing of former Envyus member Sixer. Of course, they traded places. Their former opper of Envyus Academy, Haji, has now joined the main team, and now Sixer steps down from the main team to the Academy team, which is actually how it should be. In real world, here in America, NBA, that's how the D-League works. Players on the actual team and their D-League team, they swap back and forth all the time. Once they prove themselves of a higher tier, they can maybe bounce back to the original team. I'm not sure if Sixer is of that quality right now, but if he does work his way back, he could, of course, replace Haji if he actually underperforms too. So that's in great news. I guess he still has a team to play for, and he's still getting paid, so that's always a good thing. On top of that, too, we also had Friberg announce a couple days ago his free agency. Although many of us already knew he was a free agent, it was kind of obvious. This is, of course, his publication to any teams out there who want to sign the guy, and my real question is posted here. What do you guys think about this? Is Friberg going to be the next Michael? If he doesn't find a team, you know, of course, ESL Pro League already started. Our last major just concluded. If he doesn't find a team soon, in time for the next major preparations, who's going to sign him? Will anyone sign him? Will he be in a kind of a stagnant disarray for the time being? We're not really sure what's going to happen with Friberg. I'm sure he's a really good talent out there, but who wants him is the real question. Oh, and if anyone wants to know, by the way, female CSGO news, for the first time in probably a couple months, we had CLG Red, who lost Potter last week to a new team. That's Res Gaming, now the #1 female CSGO team in the world currently. How they still hold those standards, I'm not really sure. We don't really see them compete too often. But yes, CLG Red, likely the #2 best female team, has now completed their roster, guys, by signing Promise 9K for the roster on screen. So yes, for anyone who cares, female CSGO news. If you guys have any other things you want to share with me via Twitter, I'd love to share with all of you. I only share the female CSGO news I can find, and there's not much out there. So yes, we do have Res Gaming, the #1 team. They have a full roster now, as well as CLG Red, the #2 female CSGO team, have now completed their rosters for the time being. And also in a very weird story we did have last night, we had Hazed, actually formerly of CLG, formerly of OpTic. He was both a player for OpTic for a very short amount of time, as well as a coach for several events. He actually was more of a player for more events and coached, I think, for 2 events as well, for a very short stint. Remember when they were using people like Freakazoid and Hiko, just subbing players in and out? It was around that time he came out on stream and actually admitted that OpTic had never paid him for any of those events, which of course caused an upright on Reddit, all the forums out there, and he had to come back on Reddit and post this as well and say, guys, do not witch hunt OpTic. I just wanted to make the point and get some attention to this, and well, you guys did a great job getting attention, because apparently OpTic co-owner or co-CEO, that is OpTic J, has now officially paid Hazed for all those events. It's kind of suspicious though when you first hear the story, of course, when it takes a player to get on Reddit to get all this attention to finally be paid. It's a bit odd that Hazed could not somehow contact OpTic besides getting up there on the Reddit forums. I think that's always a bit curious. Here's the clip though of him actually saying OpTic never paid him for any of those events. It was like Cyberpower PC, ECS Finals, a couple weeks of ESL Pro League. They were some pretty high-end tournaments for OpTic Gaming at the time, and here's him admitting that.
They still haven't paid me for the tournaments I played in. There was like 4 tournaments where I was there as a player. And they still haven't paid me for those.
Yo, actually, can we...
Even though they said they would, they still haven't, so... It feels bad. I hope that they do pay me.
But it's fine now. Good on OpTic to actually pay attention to this. I don't know why they hadn't been in contact with him and actually paid him earlier. Of course, it was many months ago, but it's been all resolved. And thanks to all of you who actually, give this kind of stuff attention. That's also a great story. On top of that, we also had MICHU. It was actually brought up on the Reddit forums a couple days ago and brought to great attention all the pro players out there who have been trade banned because they received banned skins or illegal skins in some sort. Apparently, MICHU a long time ago, several years ago, had actually received many skins on his account. Those skins were actually tied to a scammer, and he was therefore trade banned ever since then. And apparently a great amount of attention, thanks to you guys again, he has now been untrade banned. So for anyone who actually ran across his account and saw that he was trade banned, they may have thought that he was scamming people. He was not. Apparently the story goes he actually received skins many years ago, and those people who actually sent those skins was found to be a scammer. Therefore Valve or Steam thought it to be a great idea to maybe ban everyone tied to that account, which is in itself is probably a good idea, but still pro players should not have that kind of thing going on. It looks kind of sketchy. So MICHU, now Virtus Pro, is actually untrade banned. Congratulations. Now all of you guys can send him the skins you want. Thanks for watching. Bye.